again, folks. We are gathered here with our administration, our Mayor Lovely Warren, Commissioner Kirkmeyer, our staff, many members of, I think all of our members with the exception of our new member or our previously old member, Councilmember Ortiz, who has left us to join the Commissioner of the Board of Elections. We will miss her, but she has since put her letter of resignation in. We will be working very soon to fill that position. Information about that will be forthcoming, and I'm sure it'll be found on our website, and or you can reach our offices to get that information, and as well as it's being shared on the news and all media outlets. With that being said, we are here for our NBD quarterly update. I'm not going to go around the room. We have many people here with us. I'll turn it over to our chairman of NBD, Councilmember Patterson.
Thank you. Okay, so if you can hear me, can you hear me?
Barely, brother, barely.
All right, well, I'll just keep getting closer and talking louder. Okay, so NBD quarterly meeting, and I'll turn it over to Gary Kirkmeyer, and Gary, off you go. We all have the agenda. BJ sent that out, so you should have it in your email, and we'll give it to Gary.
All right, thanks, Councilmember Patterson. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen real quick if I could. So we got a bunch of updates we just want to zip through, and then we have a presentation we want to make. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these updates, just real quick. So land management project is still on track. We're in contract negotiations right now. As we said before, we're anticipating coming to council with that contract in October. That's an implementation process, probably going to kick off in January and probably going to take about 1 to 1.5 years. We had a landlord summit last week. Well attended, 295 attendees on that site. And then we had another 139 join via YouTube. 94% of the respondents said they found value in that information provided. It's really good interactive session. A lot of stuff on eviction prevention and the new tenant laws, which they appreciated. Next week, some of the NBD staff will join our Harvard ASH team in presenting at the National League of Cities, one of their events on the topic of landlord engagement. I think you already have this update number 3 here, that we have eliminated the issue about month-to-month tenancies not being able to get as equally assisted with back rents, but that's no longer an issue. And then on the restaurant grant front, we're still rolling along. We're not having any wait times anymore. If you feel like you've got somebody that's expressing that interest, please forward that along, but we're not hearing anything. The Southwest and Northeast areas were booking up faster, and they booked up a month out. So we had to ask businesses from Center City and other areas to help out to keep serving the need in the Southwest and Northeast. We did have one participating restaurant who had to bow out for various reasons, and staff have done just a phenomenal job, the service center staff, in navigating through that really difficult time of taking those scheduled meals and getting them covered by other vendors. So everything's great now, but it was a little bumpy for a minute. On the business retention grant, we've gotten 575 applications now to date. We're about to distribute our $1,000,000th in that program out the door. So 575 coming in, but $1 millionth going out the door this week. And then Council President Scott had asked for a monthly report on all the CARES Act funding and how it's being spent and how many people are being served. And we're preparing that. You'll probably get your first update at the end of September. It's probably the timing of that will probably be more appropriate for some worthwhile reporting. So we plan to do that at the end of September.
Hey, Commissioner, just real quick, $1 million. So in terms of Berg, $1 million out of how much? Like how much more?
So we allocated 1.5 in the CARES Act funding, but we also were using some CDF dollars before we received the COVID. So we started to use the CDF money that we had on hand. I think we used a few $100,000 of that. We may or may not go back to try to get reimbursed for that from HUD. But right now we just wanted to hit the ground running with that. And we had to access those funds before we were able to access the CARES Act funding.
But there's in other words, there's still opportunities for businesses.
Significant opportunity. Yes.
Great. Thank you.
And then on the zoning code rewrite front, you'll be seeing very soon, maybe even this afternoon, the community engagement plan is going to be released. The plan's going to rely on the City Planning Commission as the advisory board. It's going to build off of all the feedback we got in the comprehensive plan process. There will be additional community engagement. It's going to be detailed in the plan. I know I went through those quick. Do you have any questions about those before we jump into this other portion of the presentation?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you, Commissioner Kirkmeyer, are you prepared to talk about the zoning pilot, if you will, in Beechwood
The zoning pilot.
with the the neighborhood comprehensive plan?
So you got to be more specific.
Okay. So with Connected Communities, they
Yeah.
came up with a neighborhood comprehensive plan, and they're going through with some of the neighborhood groups now with some zoning recommendations. And my understanding was that those would potentially be implemented ahead of the zoning rewrite.
We're going to look at the Connected Communities plan and try to do best we can to set it up for success. So there might be some element of that,
Okay.
but we're not there yet with that conversation.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner, I just have one question. I've heard a couple folks ask about the rezoning and a community advisory committee of some form. And I thought that had been something that was talked about early on when we approved the comp plan. But I understand that maybe I had that wrong in a brief conversation I had with Doreen a while back. And so now it looks like from that last slide that you want to kind of you want to use the planning commission as that authority. Is there any way to create some type of community engagement that doesn't necessarily have an opportunity to direct or they can't direct the actions, but they can maybe inform the actions? Is that a possibility somehow?
So you'll see the plan when it comes out I think it's this afternoon, if not really soon. It does rely on, another deep dive into community engagement. So that won't be absent. We're not going to do another comprehensive plan review. We've done that. We have a placemaking plan that was a result of very, very, very exhaustive effort of engaging the community. This is not a time to start from scratch. It's a difficult task in and of itself to rewrite a zoning code. Some cities take in excess of 3 to 7 years to do that. So, we want to take advantage of the work that was done, the hard work that was done engaging the community. We want to continue to engage the community, but we want to uniquely rely on the people that we have empowered locally at the zoning level and the Informative Planning Commission to kind of help guide that process as well.
Okay, but there's going to be very clear and obvious ways that people can have their voice heard. And please trust me, I have no interest in you going back and redoing the comp plan. I think it's a brilliant comprehensive plan, but the rewrite of the zoning code is obviously a little bit different. So people are going to have a chance to weigh in on that in a very public way.
Yes, they are. And the zoning code rewrite is a little different, but it's not a lot different in terms of placemaking plan, right? So, we've got a lot of feedback, and, we told council early on when the comprehensive plan was concluded that there's going to be some people that want to go backwards here. There's going to be some pressure to want to revisit conversations that have been exhausted. So, we're all going to have to, we all supported the comprehensive plan wholeheartedly. The community supported it. It's our guide, if you will. It's not the end all. It's our guide to rewrite the zoning code.
Full support there.
Okay, so from time to time, the mayor asks department heads to do presentations and updates on projects, and typically NBD, when we do that, we look at the major projects, and a lot of times they're the ones that we've supported in some way or another. And, it's a kind of quick, and it's maybe 10 projects or so. This time we wanted to do a little deeper dive because, we intimately see that activity that's going on every day. And I know a lot of you, I know you do too, because you're driving all over the place. But there's a lot of people that don't get to frequent our streets and don't get to see things that aren't on the inner loop or in Midtown. So we wanted to do a more inclusive and holistic review of what's been going on from a development perspective in the city over the last year. So what we did was we looked at all of our building permits from July 1st, 2019 to the end of this past July. The reason we went 13 months is we wanted to have it as close in proximity to the presentation as possible with updated information. So over that 13-month period, we couldn't take the, there's like 5,600 permits in question here totally. But so we had to draw a line somewhere. So what we did was we took the construction values at above $100,000 and looked at those specific 309 permits, of which 110 of them had construction values in excess of $500,000. And when you look at the total construction value of just those 309 permits, they had a construction value of over $423 million with a total investment project value of over $712 million. And, let's keep in mind that this is during the pandemic. 226 of these 309 have come in and been issued since the initiation of the pandemic. So this has been a continuing event in the city of Rochester. Development is and has been for quite some time now. Very, very, very active. So we wanted to present that in some visual form. I know that these maps never come out good on PowerPoint, but you get the gist of it just by seeing the red dots that, to the people that think this is all happening downtown, yeah, a little bit less than a third of it's happening downtown, but more than 2/3 of it is spread out pretty equally throughout our city. And people don't typically connect with that. They don't see things going on sometimes and they think everything's just happening downtown. Well, that's far from the truth. So what we did was we just broke out these, and I'll kind of zip through them fast because I don't know if you all have another thing after this or not, but we wanted to break these down by section. So we've got 4 quadrants plus Center City as a 5th quadrant, if you will. And really what I just want to do is give you some visual, you can see the financial commitment there, and then, what the impact is from a use perspective. So, these are, current situations, what the future state's going to look like. This is, Midtown Parcel 2. I'm sure you've all seen this many times. It's about an $11.5 million project, 28 apartments, 20% affordable with Butler Till headquarters. Moving on to Interloop Site 2. This is a Krista project, $20 million project, mixed 114 affordable units and workforce units. We're expecting construction to start in the fall here. Site 3, this is home leasing, well underway, almost $21 million project. It has a pharmacy, 72 affordable, supportive and workforce units. Site 4, Konar, several different buildings. Building E has been completed. D and C are under construction now. And A and B are going to shortly follow. $44 million project. This is Interloop Site 6. We expect construction to start in September. 5 market rate housing units. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity at all to visit this property. We've been inside. The amount of construction that had to take place here, 75% of the structural elements of this interior of this building had to be replaced. Pretty impressive when you go through and see all of the floor joists and the beams that had to be replaced in this old building that in most situations would have been demolished. This corner of East Main and Clinton, this is a project that we want to get moving. There's been some bumps in the road. This is one we're going to try to put a little pressure to get going because it's such a critical piece on that corner. Lots of activity going on at the Metropolitan. There's always build out permits going on there. We've got 17 open permits right now. About $30 million being invested over there. You all are familiar with what's going on at the Sibley building, but the most recent activity is the lofts. And there's a lot of commercial builds out. We got 2 banks, we got a grocery store going in there, the commissary, mercantile. All of that's supposed to conclude by November. Mayor and I were over at the towers yesterday. Really extensive renovation. I know some of you have been out there. Quite the construction environment, really difficult to navigate, 337 units when you're doing gut rehab. And, you know, we're working with them to do a better job of that. Shifting over to the southeast, some of the things that aren't maybe right in the eyes, that when you're driving around 337 universities, simple 8-unit mixed former commercial building. I know you've seen the hotel, that's going up. It's all frame, all 4 floors are framed now, $8.5 million project. 114,000 square foot expansion at the former Bausch and Lomb building. These are the kind of things that we, generally aren't talking about, is these commercial endeavors that don't, involve support. $23 million project. Then I want to talk a little bit about home leasing. I know many of you are familiar with what they've been doing. They've acquired 5 large multiples over the course of the last year. This is one of the 3 most recent acquisitions on Culver Road. We expect construction to start here in the fall or winter. And the beauty of these it's preserved affordable housing and way improved quality. This is the second of the 3 on East Main Street, $5.8 million project. Again, we expect that construction to start this fall or winter. Highland Hospital, 7-story addition, $70 million project. That's in the planning stage right now, should start somewhere in mid-September. U of R Performing Arts Center, all of the hospitals, we have tremendous amounts of continuous activity going on from a construction perspective. U of R's got 41 active permits right now that include the hospital, but this Performing Arts Center, $22 million project. Cobbs Hill Village, we anticipate that litigation that it's in right now, hopefully ending this fall, and then construction to start soon thereafter. Midtown Athletic Club had an expansion going on, $4.2 million expansion, new entranceway. Shifting to the northeast, for one half of the Jefferson Wollensak project, Urban League. That building used to be one of the biggest, largest blighted vacant buildings in the area. At one time, we actually had DES board all the window openings, which is pretty unprecedented with a 4-story building, but that's how blighted it was. We needed to mitigate that somehow, and of course, it looks much better now.
It looks amazing. It really does.
Yeah. Pueblo Nuevo's kicked off. They're under construction right now, phase 1, $24 million scattered site for the most part. CDS Monarch is $49 million, 164 affordable and workforce unit projects. We hope that starts construction this winter. This is the 3rd home leasing of the most recent 3-package purchase on North Clinton Avenue, $7 million rehab going to happen there this fall and winter. And then again, the hospitals, this is with respect to their expansion, but they're always actively building out space in the hospitals. This particular one, $71.5 million project. Rochester Prep Charter School expansion, $7.4 million on Mark Street. That interior demolition work is started, so construction should start relatively soon. This one I put in here because it was kind of unique in that the people involved here are the people that bought the ATF or a lot of the ATF liens. So it's interesting to keep up with what they're doing about that. Some of them are holding and renting. Some of them they have done some remodeling. Some they flip. This particular one they are building out, so that's good. It's an old, long-standing vacant building. Catholic Family Center has a project on Joseph Avenue. It's almost $2 million project, taking a former 53-bed homeless shelter and turning it into 9 dwelling units. Shifting over to the northwest, St. Bernard's, so $12.5 million, 160 affordable senior unit project is underway. Center City Place, right outside City Hall, the buildings that we look at every day. Sage 1, Tony Salino finished that first building, and they're about 40% maybe were done in the second building. It's about a $7 million project. Excuse me, Zweigle's had an expansion, $2.6 million expansion. They're about wrapping up there. Rochester Regional Health on Lake Avenue is doing $1 million build-out interior renovation project. Over on Emerson Street, Precision Grinding did a 12,000 square foot addition to the manufacturing building. They're almost done there. Another Catholic Family Center project on Jones Avenue, $1.5 million project. Automated car wash by Danielle family over on West Ridge Road. Down on Boxard Street, storage facility, you know, maybe not something that we would promote in most areas, but Boxard Street, I think it fits very nicely down there. Shifting over to the southwest, the other half of the Jefferson Wollensak. Again, the combined project, about $14 million between the two. It's going to be 19 affordable units. L2P project, construction start this fall. It's a really important project because it transfers rental situations to owner occupancy at some point after 15 years in an affordable state. So that's a good thing. This is one of the first of the 2 home leasing endeavors or purchasing distressed multiples. This property could have went a whole different direction. It had serious structural issues that they have had to mitigate. This is a completed project, and property is in much better condition than under much better management. This was the second of those, or the first of those 2. This property here, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with, was our #1 code enforcement property in court at the time that home leasing bought it. And that's turned all the way around. So this one here is, I wanted to include a couple of these smaller residential because this is kind of the unique nature of the landscape of development. You know, we see a lot of commercial development, but we're starting to see the landscape be ripe for residential development outside of Center City. And that's where, you know, that's where we want to be. So this is the first opportunity that the choice program was used outside of Center City. So you all know that, you know, we approved the expansion, or you approved the expansion of the choice program outside of Center City, which gives some tax abatement for 10 years for residential 1 and 2 family construction. This is 3 single family dwellings that were the first recipient of that through Comida. Self-service facility over on King Street. CFO was just issued for that. And then Matthew Danker, another local builder. We've been meeting with all the builders to try to nail down how we get to an environment where we can not only construct new residential properties, but avail them to our residents. Matthew was able to get the choice program for these 5 market rate housing units. And that's the other point, I guess, between this one and the one on South Plymouth is this is market rate housing outside of Center City for owner occupancy being built in the city of Rochester. It's been a long time since we've seen that. He also is doing this project on Atkinson. He was not able to get the choice program on this. We're working through that with the comptroller's office and with Comida to see how we can make sure that, you know, our intention with the choice program, which was to have it available for scattered site building, can actually be realized. And then in addition to those quick updates, there's always our partners are always doing projects. These, our housing partnerships here, they're doing collectively amongst them, whether it's new construction or rehab, 36 units this year. These two slides, and tell this to the mayor because it wasn't on the presentation I did for senior management the other day. Carol just threw these slides at me, so I added them because this is connected, right? It's about development, it's about construction, it's about just this activity that's just enormously happening in the city of Rochester. And despite the pandemic, we're able to serve people in the home buyer assistance program. We've got new builders program going, everything is still going, and it's going at a rapid pace. Just to give you an idea of where, where those services are being provided. So here they're by quadrant here. So we've got pretty good coverage in every sector of the city in terms of people buying houses.
Commissioner, can I just ask a quick question about all those slides you just went through?
Yeah.
A lot of really exciting stuff and just a great diversity of projects. Has there been any, and I'm not asking you to obviously name any names here, but have there been any circumstances by which the pandemic and the economic downturn that we're in the middle now, like have projects that were started over the last couple of years had to stop because of that, or you really feel like everything is a green light and still going?
Well, certainly people have had to stop during it, certain activity, not all, but some. The only thing that I can assume is, a lot of these projects are dictated, the timing of them are dictated by funding and financing. So, if they've already been given the go ahead, they got a timeliness issue to meet to get to. If it's their own business model and they've already availed the funding for that, and they're on their way, it's probably better for them to keep the construction contractors going than to ask them to come back at some point when they may not have them prioritize their work. So it's, I think it's a combination of those things. I think if anything else, where that may play a role is in future funding opportunities, which there are yet to be determined.
Thanks.
So, and then just this last slide, there's always a lot in the kitty. There's always, these are all large projects that are in the pre-construction phase. So, 6 months from now, there'll be a whole new list that are coming our way. But these are all in route.
Okay. All right. Councilmember Patterson, I know you are you serious? Are you telling me that you are not going to clap and jump up and down and shout and scream? Listen, I want to say,
I did all that as we were going. I was like,
no, I'm so glad that this is on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. And I would hope that council members would share this link on their different pages and that this goes viral. This should be on the news. And this is what should be headlines instead of other things that we're seeing that people seem to be wanting to talk about. Oftentimes we don't toot our own horn in this community. And that's a humility that I appreciate from our mayor and this administration. I have utmost respect for a lot of you guys. And I know that you're very humble people, but the fact of the matter is just look at the facts and what the facts show us compared to other comparable cities under the pandemic. And I think I wrote down, first of all, when you turn the slides on, Commissioner Kirkmeyer, I seen there were 55 slides. So I said, oh, we're getting ready to go for a ride here, right? And so for $424 million worth of projects and a construction cost of $712 million, those are jobs for people in our community. Those are opportunities. And I agree with Dr. Gruber that the diversity of projects from affordable living housing to residential care to industrial companies and expansion of people like Zweigle's, companies that have a legacy in our community. These are things I think we should be extremely very proud of, because that means places for people to be living, places for people to be getting services, jobs for people that are being created, as well as affordable living housing, brand new housing for folks. And I know that the building next door to my facility on Jefferson Avenue is beautiful and is coming together amazingly. So, I just want to say hats off to you, Commissioner, to your team, to the mayor, to administration. Of course, we got a lot more work to do. We understand that, but also to this council, because this council approved a lot of this work, right? And so this is something that we also should be proud of. So I would hope that members who tend to be critical of the work that we do would share this information on their links and on their pages to show the great work that is happening all across our city, not just specific to Center City, but all across our city. And I appreciate this presentation, and I thank you, Gary, for putting this together, and the mayor and the team and council for standing steadfast and going past the noise and doing what's right for all of our citizens and providing these opportunities so that we can see our city grow and better our quality of life for all of our citizens. So again, thank you. And I open the floor for any questions that any council members may have.
Just, can you share the slide deck with us later on?
Yeah, it's, we have to put it in a shared file because it's such a large, you can't email it or things like that, but we'll get it to you.
Any questions? Well, you wowed.
One question.
Go ahead.
Gary, can you say a little bit more about because I keep telling folks about the second phase of the interloop, which I'm very, very excited about. Can you talk a little bit more just about where we are with that?
Actually, I can talk because that's right now it's under Commissioner Norm Jones. They are currently in the process of, they received $1 million from Assemblyman David Gant to actually study that. And they're putting together a community team with neighbors. I know the Hinge neighbors, as well as the Lewis Street Center alumni are working with Commissioner Jones and the DES team as they put together the proposal to go out to do an RFP to study. I believe we might have the person that's studying it already under contract. I'm not sure, but right now we're just in the beginning stages. There has been no decisions about that. We're looking at design and trying to get ready for if there's another round of Tiger funding that comes available in the next couple years, so that we can be prepared to do that. The first thing is to do the study.
Yeah, thanks. I know that's more of a long-term thing, but I'm just, I just know what that could do. I know what the other interloop section did, and I know this one could be even bigger than that one. So great to be kept in the loop on that, right here. That.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? If not, Mayor, you want final comments here? Or not.
I would just like to thank our Commissioner Kirkmeyer and his entire team. They have done phenomenal work. Every city employee during the pandemic, after the pandemic, has really stepped up to the plate, from Zooming in from home to being all the essential workers. I just think that to have the amount of development going on in our city, continuous throughout the pandemic, in every part, every quadrant, Center City, different variety of projects, that's a testament not only to you all as council members, but also to the great men and women that we have working for us. They continue to get it done. Just today we went over and did a ribbon cutting for basketball courts that we had improved for the youth. They continue to do designs and keep our children engaged. We could talk we can get on a long list of what's wrong, but I think that, a lot of times we have to focus on what we're doing right. And this is, the work that was just shown are things that we're doing right. I'm thankful that we, council went along with us and took a chance with us on a choice program to see if that would expand development outside of Center City, single home development, townhome development. And we're seeing positive feedback from that. And we're just excited about where we're getting ready to go. Definitely, I know the chief is not on the line, but definitely want to thank him and his team for their work in answering the questions that our council members had. And I hope Councilmember Gruber that explains a little bit of what our challenges are. But even though they're challenges, we have opportunities. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from council on one of those things that you want us to address in the contract. And we'll get through whatever we need to do by working together. So we're here to get the job done for our citizens, and we're going to do that every day of the week. I can't tell you enough about how our team at City Hall and every department has stepped up to do the work for the citizens of Rochester, and we will continue to do that each and every day.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to piggyback on that and let the staff and everyone know that we appreciate you. We want you to understand that and know that you are appreciated and that you are loved, and we appreciate you. We know that you get hard, long hours, days, and oftentimes this work seems that it goes unappreciated. But we want you to know on behalf of City Council that we appreciate you, and this community appreciates you as well. All right? So everyone stay safe, be safe, protect your circle, wear your mask. All right? You ain't got to go home, but you got to leave here. Blessings.
Later.